Hey everybody, I'm the Miniac, and in today's video, we are actually going to now take this car out for a drive. This is the 2020 Mini Cooper S with the new 7-speed DCT. So I have this camera right here, I have another camera over my shoulder, and I have a scared passenger. So we'll see what we can do here and try out all the new features. So this is the new car with the 7-speed DCT, like I just said, and it functions like a normal automatic, even though it's actually a dual clutch system. So there actually are two clutch plates, there's no torque converter. So we're going to put this car in sport. Got that going. You have to push the button on the side of the shifter and then put it in reverse. So we're now in reverse. Make sure we're clear and we don't have anybody standing behind us, and we can start backing out. Now it does have the paddle shifter, so I can paddle shift this if I want to. I'm not going to. Now, I don't have the shifter in sport automatic. I just have it in regular automatic. But it already shifts pretty good. Very smooth. There's not much difference in feel between the regular automatics and this one, actually. Which I'm rather impressed with. So we're gonna do a test I like to do, and he knows what test that is. Exactly. This is the hang on test. Now the great thing about the Minis is their stability control is phenomenal. This, literally you can corner on a dime with one of these, which we're going to demonstrate here fairly shortly. But the stability control in these cars is just phenomenal, that you can go around the sharpest corners and it just holds the corner.
Wow.
And there's lots of grip. Not to mention the braking is pretty good as well. This thing's pretty quick on the braking. So now we get the other section of this wonderful road that I like. So this is a pretty nimble little car. And we're out of that loop. What'd you think?
I like it. Very smooth.
So the new 7-speed DCT is actually a really fantastic transmission. I'm really impressed with it, actually. So there's really not much you can do with it aside from just put it in drive and just go. But it's neat that it's not a torque converter transmission, it's a clutch transmission. So there's actually clutch plates that are actually doing work in this thing versus the torque converters. Now, I would still prefer my own manual gearbox, and that's not a terrible thing. But for a DCT transmission, this is actually phenomenal. So I've been pretty impressed with it. I've driven several cars that have it, and it's just a really good gearbox. It is a really good gearbox. I'm actually very impressed. Well, that's the funny thing, actually, is I'm not disappointed That's the funny thing is, I'm not disappointed with this transmission, actually. This is actually really good. It's a different looking gearbox. It's not the push button like you're used to. It's not a normal automatic.
Right.
It's a dual clutch. But it just actually works really well, which is phenomenal. I'm actually really impressed with it. And it's a 7-speed. It's not the standard 6-speed that you're normally dealing with. So it's a really, really good gearbox. It's kind of a funky looking shifter, I get that. And then there's lots of push buttons to do everything. You push button to park. You push button to unlock it so you can shift it. It still has a handbrake, thankfully, so you can still do some stuff with that. And it's nice. It's nice that they brought this over. Granted, I still like the manual gearbox. I know we're on a temporary hiatus with the manual gearbox, so there's like a I think it's going to be about 6 months or so before we get the manual gearbox back. So in the meantime, they brought this over for the for the US market for Mini, and I really like it actually. So it's not a bad shifter. But I want to reconfigure the cameras and let the viewers see some more stuff going on with this car. So let's get cracking. So with everything that's been going on with this new transmission, there's only a few things that are kind of quirky about it, and I'm going to share those with you. For one, if you look at the transmission, in order to put it in park, you have to push. Well, let me show you with the car running. Okay, so the car is running. So to put it in park, you have to push this button. To put it into drive, you have to push the side and then pull it into drive. To put it in reverse, you have to do the same thing, or it gives you a nice little alert message. On top of that, the way the car's new transmission is designed, it's very similar to the new BMWs in that when you put the car in gear, if you don't have the doors shut, the car will not move. Unlike the previous automatic transmissions where you could put it in drive and still move the car. For example, if you just needed to move the car and you wanted to see the curb, you don't have that option with the new DCT transmission. So, and the new automatic for that matter. So not necessarily a bad thing, just kind of a inconvenient thing at times, kind of quirky. It's just one of those quirks that goes along with the new transmission. All in all though, the new DCT is actually a fantastic gearbox, and if you don't want the manual gearbox, 6-speed manual, and you're looking at a hardtop or a convertible, the DCT is definitely a good transmission to look into, and I'm actually a big fan of it. I was really impressed with how it drives. My favorite mode with this though is the sport mode, putting it in sport driving mode as opposed to the standard driving mode or the manual shift mode. But anyway, back to the video. Yeah, definitely sport automatic.
Yep. Race car feel like your car.
Yeah, this definitely has a very sporty feel.
Yeah.
The 18-inch wheels actually, I think, help a little bit with that. Less tire roll, I think, because it's a stiffer tire. These are run flats, I'm pretty sure. Run flat summer tires, and given that it's summer, pretty sticky grip. So I'm rather impressed with that. Well, I'm game. What do you think?
I like it. I think this is the very best mode that you can be in.
Yeah.
Really.
So, as far as the 7-speed DCT goes with the 6-speed automatic, what do you think about the two? You've driven both of them. I'm sure you've driven the automatic. I've driven the automatic as well. I'm actually thinking the DCT is probably the best one yet.
No doubt. You know, the other one drives like an automatic car. It's just no fun. That's why I went back to manual. But this is the best of both worlds in this particular mode you have right now.
Well, I think we found a winner then. The DCT is definitely the new transmission to have with this car. Aside from the 6-speed manual, the 7-speed DCT is pretty fantastic. But until next time, just remember, life is too short to drive a boring car. So as always, drive a Mini. I'll catch you all later.